The killing of 3 young girls in the town of Southport in July 2024 sparked the worst riots the UK has experienced in more than a decade. Rumours and disinformation suggesting the killer was a Muslim migrant gained traction online, and that quickly brought angry people onto the streets. People in Power examines the role social media played in fomenting the violence and what can be done to prevent it from happening again.
Immigration, controlled. We don't want illegal, we want controlled immigration.
Anti-fascist! We're not fascists! Anti-fascist! We're not fascists!
Confrontations on the streets of the UK, a sight that's become more common since riots broke out in the summer of 2024.
Take your mask off, take your mask off. Go on.
We're in Portsmouth, where there are 2 protests taking place. On one side is a group of people who call themselves the British Patriots. Their message is anti-Muslim and anti-immigration. And on the other side, we've got anti-racist protesters who've been mobilising up and down the country following the recent riots in the UK.
Yeah, but you don't... you
don't grab my property. He was the one going around smashing up the country a few weeks ago.
Rioters violently attacked mosques and hotels housing asylum seekers after rumours spread online that a Muslim migrant was responsible for the murder of 3 young girls in the British town of Southport. The allegations were fake, but the far right have been emboldened and louder ever since. Simon Magorian has been an anti-racist activist for more than 40 years.
No pass around! No pass around! No pass around! Thank you.
Why are you all here today? Who is it that you're protesting against?
We're here because this is about the 3rd far-right demonstration we've actually had in Portsmouth. I think that they were hoping to start a race war in this country. That was their intention. And it didn't work because people took to the streets and they were marginalised. And they were shown to be, a horrible, vicious minority, but they don't speak for Britain. They don't speak for what our culture really is.
Who are the far right?
And there are loads and loads of different grouplets, which is why we talk about the far right, because one week you were talking about it's an anti-refugee group, another one is a straight down the line fascist group. So when we actually say far right, it actually covers everybody because they all come wearing with different flags of convenience.
What role did social media play in all of what's happening right now?
I think the role of social media has been central, telling packs of lies about the ethnic and religious identity of the killer of those 3 girls. Out and out lies, just all over social media, which actually stoked it up. And you've got groups on Telegram, secret groups, etc., which organise these things with thousands of people on it. Social media, specifically the 2 platforms, X and Telegram, have been central to the disruption and the incitement of violence in this country. No question.
Say it loud, say it clear! Refugees are welcome here!
We are not Nazis, so don't insult me by saying that I'm a Nazi or a far right! How dare you!
Undeterred by the real identity of the attacker, anti-immigration protesters held placards of the murdered girls.
Can you tell me why you're holding this up? Those 3 girls are the girls who were killed in Southport. And this, we've been told, is a rally against immigration in this country. What's the connection between the 2 in your mind?
It's a second generation immigrant who committed this crime, and it's all the crimes that are happening by immigrants.
I don't believe there is a single example in the world of a successful multicultural society. It's all very good and well, these people thinking, oh yeah, it's a John Lennon song, but it's not.
We beat Hitler, we beat the we beat the Nazis! Stay the away from me. I'm not going to shake the hands of a fascist or a Nazi.
6-year-old BB King, 7-year-old Elsie Stancombe and 9-year-old Alice da Silva Aguiar were killed while taking part in a dance class on the 29th of July in the seaside town of Southport. 10 others were injured, but the identity of the male suspect wasn't immediately released due to his age. By the time Axel Rudakabana was identified as the UK-born attacker with no known links to Islam, large groups of anti-Muslim and anti-immigration mobs had already taken to the streets. Over the following week, the UK witnessed its most violent unrest in over a decade. Since then, tens of thousands of people have taken part in counter-protests across the country. But not everyone has welcomed those protesters, like these football fans in Manchester. In Southport, where the attacks took place and the riots began, there's frustration that the community's grief has been hijacked. Alice Aguiar was the first to be buried. Mourners lined the street to hear her family's message.
You have shown great courage in asking me to be here today, to speak, to give a message from you, Alice's family, to say that you do not want there to be any more violence on the streets of the United Kingdom in the name of your daughter.
The day after the attack, rioters targeted their first location, Southport's local mosque. Imam Ibrahim Hussein has lived in Southport for 30 years and led worshippers here for 20. He was in the mosque when it was attacked.
We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make things safer for us and for our children, inshallah, and make us closer to the community.
Imam Ibrahim says more than 1,000 people gathered outside. Bricks were thrown through the windows, fires were started, and those inside could hear the angry mob threatening them.
So they're all outside shouting and screaming and doing what they're doing. I tried to take a photograph from here, a video from here, and then when they see us, they start to throw fire flames at the window. Then the smoke was coming in. So he said, if we're not killed by the mob, we will be killed by the smoke.
It sounds like you were genuinely fearful for your life.
Well, definitely. We are really afraid we're gonna die one way or another. If it's not by the mob, it will be by the smoke. This is one of the bricks that they throw at this window in order to smash it. So they throw something like this. This is one of many.
Do you remember where you were when those stabbings happened and then the rumors started?
We heard it from the news. We start getting messages from friends and neighbors and saying there is a lot of people accusing the attacker of being a Muslim. And then it's moving from there. They said he is coming to this mosque. And then it moved from there very quickly. We're talking about within half an hour. It became that we coerced him into doing what he did.
Did you ever expect that it would end up, that hatred would end up outside your mosque?
Never. I've been here for 20 years. And in 20 years, I never expected that I have to face this kind of prejudice against our community. Small trouble happened before, silliness. Somebody threw pig's head on the ground. Again, is an idiot. We just laughed and took it and threw it away.
And did you receive any threats?
Yes.
What were the threats?
They were saying, come and face us and all this, so they kind of daring us to come outside or walk outside. We will sort you out. We will teach you how to kill our children. We will get you out of this country and so on.
Were you afraid?
Naturally. I have to be afraid. If not for myself, for all these people who keep coming here.
How big of a role did social media play in that?
Well, I think they obviously have the lion's share of the blame. Social media is like a double-edged sword. Can be very good for you and also can kill. I think the law should change to say If you know that this is fake news, you have to wipe it out. Somebody has to put the law and say, you cannot do this.
Speculation that a Muslim asylum seeker was behind the attack was fueled by individuals and accounts with millions of followers online. Self-proclaimed misogynist Andrew Tate posted a video with the caption, "Illegal migrants stabbed 6 little girls." Far-right anti-Muslim figure Tommy Robinson posted a video defending rioters who attacked the Southport Mosque.
They're murdering our kids, left, right and centre. They're a danger to us. They're a danger to our country, and you give more of a about them than you do about British children.
And Reform Party Member of Parliament Nigel Farage added to the speculation of who was behind the attack.
The police say it's a non-terror incident, just as they said the stabbing of an Army Lieutenant Colonel in uniform on the streets of Kent the other day was a non-terror incident. I just wonder whether the truth is being withheld from us.
These posts, which remain online, have racked up almost 30 million views. X wasn't the only platform that was used to spread hate online during the riots. Messaging app Telegram hosted broadcast channels which allowed far-right rioters to organise and mobilise. And a Facebook post called on people to protest outside a hotel housing asylum seekers in Rotherham. That protest also turned violent. Windows were smashed, bins set alight, and bricks and petrol bombs were thrown at the building as those inside feared for their lives. 51 police officers were injured. As we filmed near the hotel and in Rotherham, passers-by voiced their opinions.
It's just over a month since the riots took place in Rotherham. There's definitely still a lot of frustration and anger by some quarters of the population. Some people, as you just heard there, someone said, "Stop the boats."
We saw the murderous mob baying for blood. I think they would have killed people inside that hotel. Pretty hardcore fascists were there. They will be back. They've chosen Rotherham in the past. We beat them before in the 70s, and we'll do it again.
Jackie Traynor, a mental health nurse, was part of a group of anti-racist protesters who turned up to a counter-rally at the hotel.
Well, you could tell a lot of people there were locals, but a lot seemed really nasty, kind of organised, right-wing hooligans, basically. They were trying to get to us. Oh, they were throwing. Yeah, a bottle just whizzed past my head and shouting up to the residents as well. Come out here, things like that, just fighting talk. They literally wanted to kill us, you could see it in their eyes. Yeah, it was really upsetting. Yeah.
What's upsetting you so much about it, thinking about it?
I think it's just how much hatred is so easily whipped up. The message of your lives are failing and it's the fault of these people, it's the people on the boats coming in and it's these people in the hotel. They're the problem, they're taking everything away that you should be getting. So in a way, it's no surprise to me that all this happened.
While filming in the town centre, it didn't take us long to find others who don't share Jackie's views.
All about people's frustration.
Yeah.
Immigration, scum, and we can go from there.
So what, do you want to tell us a bit about it? Making a documentary, so we're going up and down the country. We've gone to loads of...
I overheard this man direct a racial slur at someone nearby.
You know, these towns where,
well,
you know, we saw...
I'm up for all right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. It's you can just... Well, tell us about what you just said about that man there.
Right. We're flooded with immigrants, and it boils my blood. My mother, she's 76. She don't come downtown now, because the streets is full of immigration. All they are, they're just beggars.
There are also many people from all backgrounds who are committing crimes, saying that one particular group is responsible. Well, that's the definition of racism.
All we're doing is taking more people into our country, and all we're doing, the country's sinking. I think the people of England are starting now to wake up. You're getting all these people coming into our country now, and they're put into hotels and getting fed up 3 meals a day.
What do you think about those asylum seekers who were in the hotel and they were afraid? They were afraid because fire's being thrown at them. rocks are being thrown at them.
All right now, I don't want to get involved with that.
All right, so you're against that?
No, I'm not against it, but I'm just against people coming to our country. They're not paying for anything. You go down to Eastwood now, that place there, absolutely full of scum.
Disinformation researcher Mark Owen-Jones tracked how fake news spread on X, which is owned by US multi-billionaire Elon Musk.
Within hours of the attack happening, there was already rumors online, especially on X, that the attacker was either an immigrant, someone who was just off the boat, a Muslim, and it wasn't just a few accounts that were spreading this information. It was accounts with huge followings. I think I counted at least 27 million impressions of this disinformation within a few hours. And there's one or two accounts in particular that I call super spreaders, and they seem to be dedicated entirely to spreading anti-immigrant, particularly anti-Muslim narratives on social media. One of the biggest accounts in spreading anti-Muslim disinformation, and has been for months, is called Europe Invasion. Now, right after the Southport stabbings, Europe Invasion was the most shared account spreading anti-Muslim disinformation. And what's really bizarre about this particular account, it's fake. It's been promoted by Elon Musk himself. It clearly shows examples of in artificial amplification, the use of bots to promote it, and it hasn't been suspended.
Is there any way of finding out who's exactly behind these accounts?
It's very difficult. This is the ridiculous aspect of social media companies. They can operate with impunity, and they can provide platforms with people without even knowing who those people are to say whatever they want.
Is that just, unfortunately, the bad side of social media that we have to accept, or is there actually something that can be done?
We don't have to accept just the bad side of social media. I think that's a red herring. Social media and how we interact online is a product of regulation. Just the same way, if I went out in the street now and started shouting hateful things, eventually I'd probably get arrested. But social media companies often act like, they care about free speech. They don't. Elon Musk is not about free speech. He's about the free market of speech. He purchased Twitter and now X to be a personal pulpit for his views. As I said, he algorithmically increased his own voice. So he is the editor-in-chief of what is effectively a right-wing news outlet.
Elon Musk insists that X is a platform for free speech, and X says its policies are grounded in human rights and that it's committed to keeping users safe. But as news of the riot spread on social media, so did calls for others to join in. Some claimed they wanted to protest peacefully against immigration, but more than 1,000 people were arrested for violent disorder, looting and vandalism. There were riots or attacks in at least 28 cities and towns. Migrants, Muslims and asylum seekers were the target. A lot of the migrants and asylum seekers who either witnessed the attacks or were victims of the attacks are too afraid to speak on camera. But with the help of a charity called the Joint Council for the Welfare of Migrants, we've managed to locate a refugee who says she'll talk to us anonymously, so we're going to meet her now. This Iraqi refugee says she fled her country to escape threats of a so-called honour killing after she was raped. She was smuggled to the UK by boat and narrowly escaped drowning.
کێشەکانی وڵاتی خۆمم بیرە کەوتەوە لە خۆمان جاری وا هەبوو براکەم باوکم بەدەمان چۆ ئەهاتن ئەیانوت کە ئەتکوژین لە خەوڕا چەڵەکیم.
With all that experience, when did you first hear that there were rioters targeting asylum seekers in the UK?
بینیم لە بەردەم مزگەوتەکەیە شەڕ دروست بوو. نەمەزانی کە شەڕەکە لەسەر چییە، تەنها پیاوەکان بەرامبەر یەک وەستا بوون شەڕیان نەکرد. من بە بەردەمیانە هاتم بەڵام هەنێک بەرکەوتنم بەرکە و پاڵیان پێوەنام. خەڵکەکە بەردیان پێ بوو، بەردەکانیان هەڵەیا بۆ سەیارە، بەردەکانیان هەڵەیا بۆ خانوەکان بە تایبەتی ئەو مزگەوتە. ئەترسام لەوەی کە من بەردێکم بەرکەوێ، لەوەی کە من پاڵم پێوە بندێر یاخود بەرقاچ بکەم و بکەومە ژێر قاچی خەڵکەوە. بەڵام نەمەزانی کە کێشەکە لەسەر چییە. دوایی کە لە ڕێگەی هاوڕێکمەوە بۆم ڕوون کرایەوە، کێشەکە لەسەرەوە بووە کە ئەم وڵاتە پەنابەری زۆرتیایە.
What do you think when you see on social media people saying false things about refugees, asylum seekers, Muslims, or attacking them?
من وا هەست دەکەم کە ئینگلیز بزانە کە ئێمە کەسێکی خراپین، بەڵام لە ڕاستە ئێمەش ئەمانەوێت وەکو ئەوان وڵاتەکەمان خۆش بێت. من دڵنیام لەوەی کە جارێکی کە ئەم کێشەیە دروست ببێتەوە من زۆر ئەترسم.
Among those arrested were individuals accused of spreading hate online, but the Online Safety Act, which would regulate social media platforms, is yet to come into force. During the riots, Elon Musk dug his heels in. He amplified the Europe invasion account by replying to a post and separately wrote that civil war in the UK was inevitable. To understand the scale of disinformation and hate which remains online, Al Jazeera sifted through thousands of posts made on X. We found over 100 which include false claims about the identity of the attacker, as well as calls for mass deportation and outright violence. We reached out to X and Elon Musk. There was no response to our request for comment. British politician Zara Sultana believes it's not just social media platforms that contributed to how hate spread online.
The UK riots, some of the most violent that we've seen in the past decade in this country. How did we get here?
We got here because politicians in the place behind us, in my place of work, have used their positions to whip up rhetoric that demonise migrants, that attack Muslims for their own failings. The fact that living standards have fallen is because of political decisions, it's because of austerity. It is a tactic used throughout history where you pick on marginalised communities and you blame them.
You said that social media has played a role in fanning the flames. How?
I have personal experience of this when Parliament's authorities identify racist, hateful content about me. They really struggle to get it removed off X compared to other social media platforms. The levels are just completely unparalleled.
What kind of things have they said to you?
It varies from actual death threats and rape threats to the P word. Yeah, it's basically everything you can imagine.
What do you think can be done to stop what happened online on social media to stop that from happening again?
And I don't think that we have the organisations and the structures in place to really have a grip on this. Our electoral commission needs to be strengthened. We need to be able to take down content that is spreading misinformation or disinformation. And also, we need to hold politicians to account. You should not be able to spread lies. You should not be able to get away with spreading hateful content, because the next election will also be shaped by this.
Southport has come out to say goodbye to Elsie Stancombe. Imam Hussein is one of the many people who've come here to pay their respects. The government's tough response has so far stopped the riots, but there are communities up and down the country who remain on high alert. Why was it important for you to publicly show your respect today?
It was important for us to show our respect because we always wanted to show our respect. The family kindly requested that all faith leaders should come. So I was delighted that at least they understand that there is no harm the Muslims are doing, and they think we are part of them. It was a beautiful invitation that I received from them, and I couldn't say no.
Many people have been locked up. For now, it seems as though there is no more violence on the street, but what do you think the future holds?
Well, I hope that at least in Southport, it's not as ugly as it has shown its face elsewhere. The threat is still there, and at least we understand what they're saying, and we can perhaps answer back. The message is simple. You cannot win. You're not going to divide us.